Hello and good morning from our extra garden. We put in an extra garden, as you can see, because, one garden's not big enough for me. So, I've got my tomatoes over here. Alright, here's how we set it up. We've got a T-post and another cross post for support. Our guys are in the ground, and I've got some feed bags to help with weed suppression. It's doing an okay job, but since the feed bags are kind of see-through, they're not as thick as true weed cloth, the weeds are still growing up underneath it. It's doing its job, but next year we'll do it differently. Okay, today's project, I'm going to start putting up supports so that we can have all of the tomatoes grow up instead of flopping over. That is a thing. And we will also be pruning tomatoes, and I'll show you what that looks like and why we do it. Alright, here we go. Okie dokie, so now we're going to do some tomato pruning, and then we'll string up the supports. So this is it's a sun gold tomato. I bought it, I did not grow it. Those tiny ones I grew. These big ones I bought. I was just behind on getting my seeds started this year. I'm a procrastinator, if you couldn't tell. Okay, so this tomato, it's going to... Oh, look, there's a bug. Ew, go away, bug. This tomato, it's going to flop over if we don't put it in support, so that's what the T-posts are for. I'm going to string twine from each T-post so that way they can train them up and they will be inside. And then we're going to prune the heck out of this thing. First thing we want to do, or why do we prune? It increases airflow and we can control the plant. That's one of the main reasons why I'm going to be pruning. I guess pruning is kind of a controversial topic in the gardening world. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Some people say you need to have all of your leaves on it so that it can, produce, or it can grow. Plants produce energy from their leaves out of the sunlight. So everyone's like, no, leave all the leaves. And I'm like, it's got plenty of leaves. It's doing its job. It's fine. So I'm going to prune this to control the plant. You can see down here's like the leader. And then this has an offshoot here, and then it looks like another sucker over there. Oh, and then there's this sucker over here. So the fun thing about plants is if you trim these suckers off, you can stick them in the dirt and you have another tomato plant. And since a couple of my tomato plants have failed, I think I'm going to do that with these guys. So I'm going to do, I'm going to create one leader. This one is a natural leader, so I'm going to choose this one and make new tomato plants, hopefully out of the suckers that come off of it. All right, here we go. Okay, so you see I've cut off the main suckers, and now what I'm going to go do is choose some of these other, they're suckers off of it and make sure we still have that leader. So at the crook of each leaf, a new viable plant will grow. So we can see here's the crook of a new leaf. This little guy is it's a sucker, basically. So it's going to do this. It's going to create a plant part that creates flowers that can create fruit. And of course you want more fruit. The more fruit the better. But since it's still small, I want it to kind of concentrate on growing up so that it'll be a little bit better a little later in the season. So I'm going to take some of these larger lower down offshoots, suckers, I'm going to take them off to help concentrate. Plus I've got a couple of little, I've got one already growing. Look, can you see the tiny little tomato? Itty bitty. So I will, hopefully we'll get that concentrated and get it going. And of course you want to trim all of the lower leaves, especially if they're touching the ground. Help to avoid disease and pests. There we go. It looks a little naked now compared to what it is, but it's got plenty of airflow and it's going to be easier to stake upright, and the tomatoes are going to be easier to see and hopefully grow. Okay, let's just do all the other ones, and then I'm going to root these guys. Yay! Alrighty team, I've pruned everything. It's got a lot of nice airflow in it now. So I'm going to take my twine, which is just recycled yarn, and I'm going to put it in my supports so that once these guys actually do grow up, I can put them inside so they don't flop over. Over here, you can see this guy is starting to flop. So I'm going to stake it up. I might actually even put a little bit of support because it's right next to the T-post. I'll probably put a little support on it so it grows upright, because this is a better boy, so it's one of those bigger tomatoes. This is actually, I actually got these ones for free. The nursery I was buying stuff from, they had a couple of 4-packs. They're like, here you go. These are for free, because they had too many. And so I got a 4-pack of Better Boy tomatoes for free. Yeah, and they're actually doing really well. They were pretty root bound, they were tiny, but it's been a month. Been giving them some love and affection, and they're doing much better now. In fact, let's see which one. In fact, this one actually has a little tomato on it. Yay! So you can see that the yarn/twine I'm using is really thin. So I doubled it up so that I can pull it over, and it's still very loose. So it's not, hopefully it's not going to dig into the tomato plant itself, but I'm using what I've got. All right, let's root some tomatoes. Okay, team, I'm going to root these, and I'm going to be lazy about it. So what I did, I trimmed off these guys from the bigger plants, and on this one you can actually kind of see all the bumps in there. It's trying to grow roots, which is really good. So I had some spots that failed. Unfortunately, my yellow pear tomatoes didn't come up. I think a squirrel actually dug up some of the roots, which, ya butthead. So anyway, I'm going to put them in these spots. I'm going to do that. I mean, you see how many I picked up. So I've got 3 holes. I'm going to fill, actually I have 4 holes. I'm going to fill the holes with these guys. I would say I'm 59% hopeful that these guys will root, take off, and produce something by the end of the season. But I've got 4 of these, and I've got like 20 of these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some just potting soil, put them in some dirt, and see if they will root in a pot. That'll be cool. If they don't, no big deal. If they do, awesome, more tomatoes. So I'm going to try to dig down as far as I possibly can, because the entire stem can root. As you can see here, it's got those bumps on it. It can root. If you've ever had a tomato plant flop over and try to rip it up, it's got all the roots in it. That's the cool part about tomato plants. So I'm going to try to put it in as deep as possible, and hopefully it'll work. Yay! Alright guys, stay tuned to see how these tomatoes turn out and how big this forest gets. Alrighty guys, stay tuned for more farm adventures.